listening to In-Fisherman Storyline, North America's top voice in multi-species freshwater angling. Here is your host, Thomas Allen.
Welcome to In-Fisherman Storyline. We have a house full of friends, and I've got Todd Seisner, the one and only, piped in from his palatial studios in Buffalo, New York, the publisher of In-Fisherman himself. Todd, thank you for making time for me today, for once.
Thanks, Thomas. Appreciate you making time and space for me here.
Yeah, well, your space is going to get limited real quick. We're going to go around the room. We're going to talk about the world famous, arguably the largest ice fishing event on the planet, this year, the 35th annual Brainerd Jaycees Ice Fishing Extravaganza, which is going to take place on famous Gull Lake here in Brainerd, Minnesota. And we got ice.
We've got ice.
And that's a big thing for us because last year we didn't.
No.
Yes. This is an exciting time to see that water get a little harder.
Yeah. So that gravelly voice over there, let's switch to your camera. That is Mike, and I'm going to read because you guys are going to explain this Jaycees thing to me. I understand it's an important part of every community, but that is Mike Kuck, and I'm going to spell his name correctly. How do you say it in German? There you go. Yeah. He is the current chair of the Brainerd Jaycees ice fishing event, and next to him is Sheena. Is it Ziegler? Ziegler. Do you have any Iowa relatives?
Married in, no idea, but yes.
Okay. Well,
I think so.
I grew up with some Zieglers.
Ziegler.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, they were farm people in eastern Iowa.
Aren't they all down there?
Maybe.
That's fair. No, but
all the farm people?
My first job was on a dairy farm.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That was great. That's a lot of story. We don't have time to go into. But Sheena is the marketing director co-chair, and we're going to talk about how this elevates year to year. I'm fascinated by this. And then on the other side is Andrew Jay, and Andrew is the bouncer, if you will, of the Brainerd Jaycees Ice Fishing Extravaganza, but a previous chair.
Yep,
right?
Correct.
And also manages security at this event. And you wonder why? Why would you ever need security at an ice fishing event? But we'll get to that. I've got a long list of questions, but let's talk about the Jaycees. So that's an important part of the community. I think it presents opportunity to bring everybody together that might have a different maybe job in town or whatever. You guys kind of seem to me like you're a bit of a mixer, bring everyone together and share, something that we all enjoy, whatever that might be. And this is a ice fishing extravaganza. But who wants to take on what is the Jaycees?
I think we all could probably add a little bit. So the foundation of the Jaycees, like internationally, is that it's a leadership development organization through civic engagement.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
You're close.
So basically, we are a bunch of random people from all facets of life that kind of get together and do cool things. Learn leadership skills, develop leadership skills, and really just kind of do cool things and give back to charity.
Is this something that anybody can get involved in?
Anybody. Well,
so
hold
what
on.
we do have is that it has a beautiful design to it. Is that it is between the ages of 18 and 40. So you actually get kicked out at 40.
Yes.
Correct.
So JC actually stands for Junior Chamber. And the whole purpose of that is so we can help raise our future leaders of our communities, of America. There's a lot of people that we know, presidents and actors and all that have been JCs. But a lot of it, too, is to help with life skills and running a business and learning marketing and doing all these things. And that's the whole thing. For example, like the extravaganza, which we'll be going into. But we're running a large business.
Yeah, that's not the only thing you guys manage in a year.
No.
That's just
not.
one.
That's just one of the.
It's a
one of
big
the small
piece,
projects.
but it's not everything. There's a lot that goes into this
Yeah.
organization throughout the year, and we have different members that focus on other opportunities to grow their leadership abilities as well through different events that we host.
Well, it sure seems like the ice fishing extravaganza being front and center this time of year. I suppose you guys are planning for that all year long, getting that ready.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
We usually take a couple of weeks off and lick the wounds right afterwards, and then we get together again and we start planning the next year.
I don't know if we lick our wounds, but I definitely sleep a lot.
There's a lot of sleep involved after that.
I can imagine. And it just the amount of people that you bring together for an ice fishing tournament, Harold, is the largest ice fishing tournament on the planet. I don't think anybody would argue that, and anybody that's been here and experienced it always has great stories. I have friends who are like, I did it all through high school, did it for 13, 14 years or whatever, and man, you wouldn't believe when it was this way or when it happened that way. But, the good thing, and we kind of joked about this to start, is we have ice. Last year, we did not. We had one of the warmest winters on record. Doug Stange here has been here for 35, maybe more years. Todd, correct me if I'm wrong, but said it was the warmest winter he can remember and the earliest ice out that he had marked down on his calendar since he'd been here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Last year was, a difficult year. However, we definitely made, and it was our theme of the year last year. We made a monumental pivot.
Mm-hmm.
We screamed that at our chair last year. Pivot.
It's my favorite word.
Yeah. And we made it work. We did what we could for our community.
Mm-hmm.
Realistically, we sat back and we looked at the detrimental things that happened to our community and the economic impact that the winter had on our community last year. And we did absolutely everything we could.
Yeah. Well, you can't make ice. You can't affect Mother Nature, and this sport is fully dependent on that.
But
Absolutely. But, there was a few of us that sat down and we came up with some really great ideas, and I'll shoot that over to Mike as last year's co-chair. But we had some great minds come together, and we still had a contest last year.
That's right.
And
How did it go?
Actually, I feel it went really well considering. It didn't look the same, obviously.
Not a lot. It was a brown Christmas last year.
Oh, my word.
It was.
But we were able to get together, and that's what's exciting, is that just all of us minds, and we've never canceled. So this is our 35th year this year, and we've never canceled, and we wanted to do the same last year as our 34th year. So we put our heads together and said, how do we still put together something? So that's when we put our heads together and figured out a hybrid tournament. And then we ended up getting the DNR involved and the Sheriff's Department involved and all these other people. They were helping out. And we were able to put all of our heads together, not just with the Jaycees. And we were able to come up with something because, frankly, we still wanted to give away a truck.
Well, the economic impact alone is a super important part of what happens here. But, let's be honest, there was ice last year. There was fishable ice on a lot of the smaller lakes, but because things warmed up when they did, ice development on Gull Lake didn't get far enough along. I don't remember if the lake was open at all during that time, but it was
closed up.
It was closed.
There was sketchy ice everywhere.
It was it was so unpredictable. We had an early snow, which came in with wind.
Yeah.
So we had these patches all throughout area lakes, at least where I experienced, where if they were susceptible to wind, you could be walking on glare ice that was 12 to 14 inches, and within 10 feet, you could switch to a snow patch where it was 6 to 8. And, people bringing these wheelhouses that have become so popular in the past, decade, not that they weren't before, but they've gotten heavier and heavier. And our first priority is always going to be safety.
Yeah.
People love the sport, and you can find fishable ice anywhere you want to, but how you find that and how you adapt your setup is going to be different.
Well, it takes a level of personal responsibility. I mean, I think I heard last year too, just in general in the region, it was one of the busiest years for the rescue crews and pulling gear out of the ice. And so you made the right decision to make it more of a regional event. And trying to remember the app you used.
Fish Donkey.
Fish Donkey. Todd, we know about Fish Donkey, don't we?
Yeah, a little bit. It's one of those apps that's come on the scene and made fishing for folks easier if they don't necessarily need to haul fish to a weigh-in site at the end of the day. Those types of apps have been great for events like this, kayak tournaments, tournaments that maybe take place off season, so to speak, before the actual, state seasons open, so to speak. So, super helpful, and they make everything super easy. Download the app, log in, pick the event, and off you go. So
Todd and I, this is an interesting backstory. One of the reasons this fascinates the two of us is we both worked exclusively for a long time covering bass tournaments at the top level, the Elite Series, some Major League Fishing stuff, and FLW. And so we know what happens when you're planning an event of that size and then it crumbles. There was a time, and I'm trying to think of the year. Todd, you might know this. He's good at these stats, but the Chesapeake Bay was flooded. And there was an event there, and there was deadheads and logs, and the a lot of the anglers were like, "This is just not safe. We need to reconsider." Well, we were there, we were established, we had the crew, everything was set up. Now imagine having to pull it all down and leave, and we had to do that, and it was the steps you had to hop through to make sure that everybody was on board and everybody understood. It was painstaking. So I imagine, did you go into last year or every year with a plan B?
We do. So last year was a little different, obviously. So we always have a plan B on every single ticket. There is an alternative date that is printed. So 2 weeks after, we always plan for an alternative date. Most of our contestants, if not all of our contestants, know that ice conditions are unpredictable. And so we always have an alternative date. It's not ideal, but it's there, right? Fish Donkey is a unique thing and kind of special to us, actually, because the year of COVID in 2021, we were able to utilize Fish Donkey and still provide a contest that was pretty tangible for everybody to participate. And we opened it up to the whole state of Minnesota that year, just per, state regulations and all these different things that we had to work through. And we learned a lot. So we were very successful. We had about 5,000 to 6,000 fishermen that year that still participated in the Extravaganza. Now we are everything goes back to the community. Everything that we make, every dollar that we make goes back to the community. We donate it right on back. So with that in mind, that year we offered an exchange for the next year's ticket. Now last year, leading up to it, we worked with Bonnie and Darren, who own Fish Donkey or developed Fish Donkey again. And we called them up and we were like, hey, we have an idea. We don't know what we're going to, this is what we would like to do. And the goal of last year was still to make an economic impact on the Brainerd Lakes area. We had no snowmobilers in the area, no fishermen in the area, the resorts, the hotels, it was a dead zone. So we geofenced a 5-mile area and we slapped it right, our lakes right in the middle. And then we were lucky enough to have partners from some of the pro fishermen in the area to come out and help people learn what lakes were safe and all these things. There are things that our hands are tied in that we can't talk about, right? Like we let the sheriff's department deal with these specific topics. And we let the professionals deal with these specific topics. We're all very, very knowledgeable, but we asked for help, and our community definitely came to a head and helped provide all the information needed. And Bonnie and Darren were amazing, and they put together this tournament for us in 5 days. We had plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, all lined up, and we went to plan D. And you're never going to make everybody happy. It's never going to happen.
We try.
We try.
You do your best.
You do your best. But it was just an incredible, amazing leadership that we had last year that really brought us together as a team and made it happen. And we really couldn't have done it. Our sponsors stayed on board with us, even with the hit that they took last year.
Massive hit.
These businesses like Strike Master, Vexlar, Clam, all these hard water businesses, they took a tank right with us and with our area. So we did everything we could, and we are so excited to see the ice this year. But
it was an industry impact. I've at the ice show last year, Todd and I were there. Was it last year, Todd? I'm trying to think the last year you came, but there was a definite difference 2 years ago. The I guess the spirit, the excitement, if you will, was boiling this year. And I think that, let's talk ice fishing for a minute. Minnesota is, I lived in Birmingham, Alabama for a while. And the question that I got most of all is how in hell could you live there? I'm like, well, first of all, if you haven't experienced the winter the way that we do it, you're right. Okay, you just see snow, you see dark, you see boredom, but ice fishing, and along with a lot of the winter activities that we enjoy, are a form of survival.
Yeah.
And I think that just by default they become something that we really enjoy. And if you want to go catch fish in the winter, you can do that. You might have to drill a hole, you might have to drag a sled. My four-wheeler's at the shop today because my son got it stuck on the ice last night. Long story. I hope that he hears
Grows
this.
up.
Yeah, it is. But the reality is, it's not just something that we do to get through the winter, something that we love. It's a part of our lifestyle here in the north.
It is.
Absolutely.
It's huge. We look at ice fishing from an outsider's perspective, and like you, I spent a couple years living in Georgia, just west of Atlanta a little bit, and I tell everyone I was from the north. And besides, the first question I got was, well, does everybody have pet deer up there, or how does that? Everyone just thinks we're these deep woods folks, and we're like, well, no, we don't have pet deer, but there's a lot in my yard.
Well, we could use a Chick-fil-A here in town. If there's one thing we need from the south, I would vote for that.
We
You
should
are
plug
not
that
wrong.
on this, and
You
I'd
are
like
not
to make
wrong.
that happen.
Yeah.
But
Brainerd Jaycees Ice Fishing Extravaganza brought to you by Chick-fil-A.
Hey,
Hey, now.
let's make that.
that could
We
be
could do
something.
Make that happen.
We find ways to adapt to our culture in the area, and I think if people from an outside perspective see ice fishing, it can be incredibly intimidating.
Mhm.
You can do it so comfortably these days
Oh,
with
yeah.
everything that's out there. You don't have to be cold at all to go ice fishing. It can be the coldest day, and it's so made easy by all these new products that we are
Just grab
spoiled
yourself
with.
grab yourself a clam pullover and a Mr. Heater, and
It's not bad at
You're
all.
good to go.
No.
Oh, just wait though. I mean, like the first time Jesse from Ice Castle brought me his personal ice castle for a media thing, I was like locking the door, like
This is
I'm-
class.
this is nice.
I might not let the media in here with me tomorrow.
Well, and trying to explain that to somebody that hasn't lived through it can be it can be a hard thing to explain. But once you've experienced it, once you've spent time on the ice and saw that, it's easy. Let me back up and say it's easy to say it's not always about the fish.
No.
And I think that that's probably true for a lot of people. But ice fishing to me is the epitome of the experience. The start to the end of the day is what makes it what it is. Fish are kind of a cherry on top. Now, there are select anglers, and we know some of them that are very good. They know where to find the fish. They're capable, and it is about catching for them. And I'm down with that. But sometimes a change of scenery from watching a football game in my man cave versus sitting in a wheelhouse or working a jig with the whatever you get, the heater just cranked up. You are comfortable. You are not at the house, and I think that a lot of times that is enough to just make those doldrum winter days go by quicker. But if you want one of the most exciting days that Minnesota has to offer, you need to attend the Ice Fishing Extravaganza.
Absolutely.
It's quite the
Absolutely.
experience. I've always said ice fishing is kind of like staring at your Vexlar or looking at a bobber or listening to a rattle reel. For me, it's kind of like looking at a campfire. You don't know how and why you can sit and look at that thing for 2, 3, 5, 6 hours, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it just draws your attention.
Mm-hmm.
The not knowing what's coming next. I could just sit there and stare at a bobber all day long and look at my Vexlar screen and watch that one line turn into 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
It gets exciting.
Well, especially I want to talk some details here about this thing, because I think what I love about this now, Todd has bought his holes. We spent a bunch of money with you guys at the ice show last week.
Certainly did. Thank you.
Well, we're excited about it. I've done this a handful of times. However, the whole family's going to come this time.
Awesome.
But Todd, are you gonna bring your offspring to this? I think we talked about that.
I'm going to bring my 14-year-old son with me. It'll be his first airplane ride and first ice extravaganza. So we're pretty pumped. Whatever you guys can do to keep the ice making machine going up there, please keep it going. I'll try to limit the amount of snowfall I bring from Buffalo with me. So
I would
we
appreciate
just-
that. Please.
Yeah, that
We'll
was.
meet in
I was
the
going to bring
middle.
that up. Like our version of winter is different than yours. I mean, you guys get hammered with snow, but the ice is not. It's not super great there.
Just talking with some friends the other morning, and I said, does anybody remember when we just had a snowfall that wasn't related to a 7-foot event that made national news? Like, can we just get like a 4 to 6 inch, just a nice gentle snowfall, So
Well,
as I look out the window
we're-
here, I'm getting what I'm asking for, which is nice. So
Well, we got a little snow the last couple days, and it wasn't enough that I don't think it's going to slow anything down. But let's start ice generation for the ice fishing extravaganza.
Yeah.
We've got really good ice right now. We've had a couple warmer days. We got some warmer days coming. I'm not super worried about it. They're getting cooler now as the forecast goes on, and lows are still below freezing. So
Yeah.
what do you need to have? What is the minimum amount of ice on it's not Booming Out Bay. It's Hole in the Day Bay
Correct.
on Gull Lake. So what's the minimum amount of ice you want to see?
So there's no magical number. There's no magical number.
It's quality of
And
ice
there's
as well.
quality. You can't realistically say, hey, there's 29 inch. I mean, that's an astronomical number of
It'd be a cold
inches,
fall.
right?
Yeah.
There's 29 inches of ice, but then you've got 10 inches of it is honeycomb and 10 inches of it is clear. And
So we
3
actually
inches
do
of it
ice
is-
bores.
yeah.
So we actually bore the ice, and we're able to see the layers, how much is good, clear, strong ice, how much is a honeycomb. So we do a bore. We're able to take a measurement, look at it as well. So with that, that's allowing us to know quality, strength, and everything else from there. So by doing that and working with our local officials as well, and the people that understand as well really deep about ice strength and conditions and all that, that's where we're able to determine direction on where the tournament goes.
I think that a lot of the angling community in the South that hasn't dealt with ice might be pretty quick to think, well, 10,000 holes and however many thousands of people and trucks and a stage and tents and whatever, man, it's got to make it weak. But it doesn't affect the overall strength of that size of a playing field. And so you really need to understand that. I mean, you could literally drive a semi on 15, 16 inches of ice.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I don't know that I recommend ever driving a semi on the ice. Let's be clear, but
No,
you can.
you
Yeah.
could. And the real thing is that we're out there drilling hundreds of holes weeks before. I mean, we're constantly watching. We're constantly watching with the sheriff's department. We're constantly watching with the DNR. I mean, we have eyes on that ice from
A lot of that.
November to the day of the contest. All of us do. We work very, very closely with our local officials. We did a lot of work with the Army Corps of Engineers at one point in time for us to learn the science behind ice and what is good and what is bad and all of the things. So it's really important for us to make sure that it's safe and for us to work with those partners and to make sure that we're doing what's best for safety in our community. So basically that's the answer. There's no magical number. It's all about quality.
Well, and we're growing great ice right now.
We are.
We've had some very cold days, and I'm looking forward to. I think my son was out last night. Well, he was when the 4-wheeler quit working, but he was on 11 inches of ice here locally.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. On white sand. So I mean, he said, Dad, it's all good, hard, clear ice. You can see through. The super slick because there wasn't enough snow when he was walking across it yesterday. I'm like, well, yeah, he doesn't like wearing those cleats for some reason. But the cool thing about this event is it's prepared. You guys have done the work leading up to it, and I know that if there is a spectacle, Todd Seisner, probably, I don't know if this is anything that's been watched or experienced, but how many holes get drilled?
Yeah,
It changes. Year
It
to
does.
year, it's different. Depending on ice conditions and everything else, we space them out differently if we need to separate contestants more to ice conditions. But every year, it's somewhere between that 15 and 20,000 holes.
Except for that one year that we accidentally drilled 40,000.
Yeah, that was
that was bad.
Miscount.
We started having volunteers saying, "What have you done to us here?" And they're,
We couldn't figure out why it was taking so long.
What's
So
taking you guys so
we
long?
have this really cool group of guys called the Snowdios. They're these snowmobile group, and they come in and they grid out lines for us, and then our volunteers who drill holes will walk and pop at every cross section. well, there was one year where the snowdeos can come, or it wasn't
The
good enough
snowdeos came,
snow.
but the problem that happened is we didn't have snow. It
Mhm.
was one of the few
Right.
years where it was just one just sheet of ice. It was slippery as all. So the snowdeos went with their snowmobiles back and forth,
No,
and there
and we
wasn't
had
a
some
grid.
4-wheelers too. So
Scratching.
it had 4 wheels instead of 4 wheels instead of
It was a little bit of
one
everything.
track. And our volunteers just went on like they normally do.
I
And
see how this
so-
happened.
So it was a combination of
Well-
no snow, 4-wheelers, snowmobiles. There was no good rhyme or reason.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Strike Master had a lot of sharpening to do at the end of that one.
That
They
was
did some-
funny.
They did some cool adapting that year. You know,
Yeah.
we talk about all our volunteers that we have, and we're all volunteers ourselves. But we talk about how much our volunteers are invested into our contest. You know, the year that we had no snow, they took it on themselves to create a way to still grid out the ice. They're dragging behind their machines, essentially a metal contraption that will just score the ice behind them.
Mhm.
So wherever you see those lines cross, is
That's where
we
you're
punch a
drilling.
hole.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
that's easy.
we didn't tell them to do that. We didn't ask them to do that. They took it on themselves to figure out, hey, we want to be involved. We want to do this still. Here's what we got for you guys. We're super excited about it. I can't wait for you to see it.
Mhm.
So we've found ways to adapt to a lot of little scenarios that can change weather-wise and just adapt to whatever needs we might have. And seeing the community and volunteer groups come together behind those scenarios is really fun to watch.
Well, and they'll come out, they'll show up. I mean, it's absolutely insane. If there's too much snow out there and they know it's going to be a problem, do you know how many plow trucks will show up out there?
Oh,
to
they
help
just
us
show on
plow?
up and
They just show up.
Yeah.
They see our plow guy out there, and then all of a sudden there's 4 plow guys out there or 5 plow guys out there, and it's incredible because they want to see this thing happen.
Mhm.
Our volunteers, our community, you know, it's absolutely incredible.
That
It's
if that doesn't restore faith in humanity, I don't know what does.
it
Oh,
really
yeah.
does. I mean,
it's called the Brainerd Jaycees Ice Fishing Extravaganza, but really it's the Brainerd community. I do have to say, we happen to be the ones, quote unquote, putting it on, but to see the whole community come together as a whole, and they're helping come up with ideas. They're sending volunteers. I'm constantly getting phone calls of what can I do to help?
Yeah.
What can I do to help? And that happens right after the contest happens. This was so cool. How do I get involved? How do I help? So really it's the whole community. It's the fishing community. It's locals, other nonprofits. It really is completely a community event that helps put it on.
it is. And last year was a huge testament to that, in fact, because we had people calling us, I mean, finding our friends to find our phone numbers because they wanted to help in one way or another. Can we help man this lake? I mean, we had people on each lake that we had open in the contest just to help with bump boards and the app and, making sure that things were going smoothly. And they're like, we'll go help. Can we help you here? It was amazing just because we were bringing people to the area. We did,
Well,
So-
I think there's a sense of pride that we have living here. I'm not a native to Brainerd, but I really value the communities I've lived in, and looking at those people come together it makes you appreciate where you're at even more. And I feel like as important as this is, I think just knowing the Brainerd Lakes community, the fishing that exists here, this is such a good thing for the economy. It's a good thing for everybody to do, but it is a reflection of why we live here. And so we want anybody that comes to visit to go home with a sense of that's a fun place. I want to go back. And we talked 2 years ago, I think, to fly my drone, and it was like, yeah, just let's get this done real quick. It was an easy conversation. Like you made sure that anybody that came to talk to you about media, it was quick, it was fast, it was friendly. And I think that there's an element of community inside this ice fishing event that occurs every year. And I mean, we're going to beat that drum to the end of the show, but the reality is it is one of the best days of the year, especially if you are going to embrace winter.
Absolutely.
And it's for everyone.
Yes.
I think some people look at the contest and the sheer size of it is intimidating, especially if you see it from an outside perspective without being here and you don't know how to prepare for it and what the whole day would look like for you. You don't have to be this ultra fishing focused.
Yeah.
we make it available so that you can be a first-time fisherman, or you could be a pro guide, or someone going on a circuit, and come on out, and there's enjoyable aspects for everyone.
It's a level playing field.
It is.
It is, and we try to make sure we are going to stay that way, and we have rules in place and processes in place to keep it that way. We don't ever want anyone to say, I just don't have, I've never go fishing before, I haven't done this, I don't know what to do. We want to help you because we want to see you there.
We even have Jaycees that'll come out and like thread your fishing pole for you. We have old Jaycees who still, that whole age out at 40 thing, for those of us on this specific committee, it's really, really hard to walk away after you've been around for a long time. And I mean, because your heart's just in it. Once you're hooked, like no pun intended, but pun intended.
That's a good pun.
Once you're hooked, it's so hard to walk away.
It almost becomes a part of you.
It is. It becomes a part of your heart, and it becomes a part of your identity.
Well, that's service,
and
isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
It is.
And those,
absolutely.
The older guys, they call them the roosters. They'll come and help set up contestants. I mean, if you've never fished before, it's so funny. A couple years ago, my cousins came up. They'd never ice fished before. And I was like, you guys should come ice fishing on this weekend. And these guys set them up. They froze their behinds off. I mean, I warned them, but they took care of them all day long. And I know we can't do that for 10,000 people, but if somebody's got a question, you find somebody in pink and they will help you.
But the other cool part as well, though, is that it's not a cutthroat tournament. Some people that are out there, you can just tell, they pretty much have headphones on and they're just, they're focused. But really, it's 10,000 of your closest friends you never knew you had. So I see it every single year. There's people like, as they're pulling up a fish, they got one. Everybody that doesn't even know these people around, they're cheering them on. As soon as they get it out, as they're running up to the weigh-in tent, all you hear is just a wave of cheers.
Yeah, everybody's cheering.
Everybody's
cheering for them, and they don't know who that guy is, or gal, or whoever it is. They're just cheering for him. So people that are brand new to the industry of fishing or whatever it is, this is an amazing time to do it. An example is last night I was talking to a guy from Missouri, and he says, "You know what? I've never been ice fishing. My son has always wanted to do it, so I'm bringing my son, his friend, and I'm going, and I have no idea what I'm doing." No clue. I guess we're going to go stand
fit right in.
Yep. And I said, this is the perfect time. So we spoke for quite a bit, and he is absolutely excited. He says, I feel so much better. I'm not nervous anymore because there is that community out there. We're just there to help people have a good time, and hopefully you get on the prize board.
Well, the community side of it is what's interesting too, because you can be positioned anywhere. You grid this off. There's a long list of questions I have here about just the step by step, but you have all these holes prepared.
Correct.
You can buy 2 holes.
Yep.
Right. Yep. So that's by Minnesota law. You can only have 2 lines in the water during ice season. If you think you can carry that rule over into the soft water season, you're incorrect.
You're gonna have a bad day.
You're gonna have a bad day. You can only have 2 lines. So you can buy 2 holes, or what are they a pop now?
$50.
$50 a hole.
Yep.
So you're definitely putting your money in, right? You're going to have an opportunity to fish those holes. Can you pick up and move to an open hole?
You
Absolutely.
can choose any which where you want to be.
Okay.
Anywhere you want to go.
See,
within the contest site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of holes to choose from. But I've noticed that a lot of times you'll get a group of people to come together, and there might be 20, 30 people. And this is what was really cool. And there's probably a story in there, but they start putting flags up. Homemade custom flags. There's one group that wears deer horns on a hard hat or whatever. I'm like, man, this is some of the most fascinating Northwood stuff that they think we are in the South, right?
Oh yeah.
But it does bring them all out of the woods. And so you can kind of create this whole this is our family group. This is our friend group. But you're right. The thing that I thought was the greatest is you always heard when somebody caught a big one. Because that part of the ice would just erupt with cheers and somebody would run it up. So let's talk about that process. So you've got your holes, you're set up. You're not allowed to bring an auger.
No.
Correct.
No.
You're not allowed to bring a shelter.
No.
Correct. You tough it out. You're in Minnesota. You put a coat on. Todd, you're going to need to bring your double barrels. It's going to be chilly. So rechargeable socks. amazing things, by the way.
They are nice.
So let's talk a little bit about the process. So the tournament starts. Is there a gunshot? What's the
So at
It's
12
cannon.
o'clock noon, we have a cannon that goes off.
Okay.
So right at 12 o'clock noon is that there's a cannon, just a loud boom.
and everybody's
Good.
walked out, right?
They're already sitting at their
Yep.
holes. So the tournament site opens at 8 o'clock.
Mhm.
So people can start to get out there, find where they want to be. Then they'll go center ice. Center ice is where we have everything. We got vendors and food and cocktails.
Some of the
you
best
name
cheese curds I've ever had in my entire
it. Oh,
life.
if you haven't had hot cheese curds
Oh.
on the ice,
On a
it's
cold day?
completely different story.
It's life changing.
Oh,
Yep.
It really is.
Yeah, I had a moment.
Oh,
Anyway.
yeah. Yep. And then right at a little bit before, then we sing the national anthem. And then 12 o'clock noon, boom, it's go time. That's when the lines drop.
Can you be sitting at your hole?
You're sitting
Yep.
at your
At
hole.
that
Sitting
time?
just
at
ready.
your hole.
Okay. So I've one of the tricks I saw. A lot of guys bring empty paint cans with charcoal in them.
It helps keep that whole thought out.
Keeps it open. And I was like, what is this all about? Well, you can have a scoop, but I mean, you guys know how it is. If it's super cold, you're constantly pulling ice out, and it's, if you don't have a scoop, you're using your hand. So
Mhm.
they light the charcoal in the can, and it just floats in the hole there, and it keeps it from freezing. And
Yeah.
you think about all the modern technology that we have today. That's the best we got to keep a hole thawed. But
Simple.
If it works, why change it?
that's right.
Right. Well, and we've had people ask if they can bring those fancy, like, I don't even know what they're called. They put them over the hole and they got
Hot box.
hot
Yeah.
box things.
They're super cool.
but they cover
but-
the hole, and we don't allow them.
Oh, so you
So-
can't use the thermal type hole cover tip ups.
Nope.
You need to have the
It's got to be
The hole has to be
Okay.
visible at any angle at
Okay.
any time.
And that's something that I deal with a lot every year in security and trying to make sure our contest is run safely and fairly. Again, we talk about how people adapt. I met a gentleman. I've seen him out there for many years now. And the first year he brought one of those homemade hot boxes where it's this plywood painted black, and he has the little light in there that keeps the hole clear. It's like a heat
Mhm.
lamp bulb, and
Super cool.
a great idea.
Yeah.
However, I can't see that when I'm going around, or my volunteers doing interior security are walking around, they can't see the hole.
Mhm.
So the next year he came back with the same contraption made out of plexiglass, the whole thing. Well, our rules state your hole has to be visible.
It's visible.
It's enclosed,
That's a
but
great idea.
it's visible.
It's visible.
Mm-hmm.
So did that count?
It works.
Yeah.
It works. It fits the rules.
We can see it.
Now I can count about 300 of them out there every year.
How about
I
that?
hope the guy's making a ton of money off those.
I
It's a great
suppose.
idea.
That's a pretty good idea.
It was incredible.
So let's talk again about the process. So cannon goes off, lines down, and if you want to pick up and move, you can do all that. And you got to drag stuff. You're not allowed to bring a machine out and drive around, right?
Nope, you're
Right.
not allowed to bring a machine out. There is a spot around way out on the perimeter for that. But the best way is that we actually have BIR, which is Brainerd International Raceway.
Mhm.
They're on board with us, so people park there. We also have another lot up called Sportsman's Corners up on 371. But what we have is 2 parking lots, and we've got buses going in circles all day.
Mhm.
So there's really not a waiting list, and we
No.
get everybody
No.
on and off safely, and then we're not putting all that extra weight to it.
And so we're not putting extra weight, but the buses are incredible, and they pack all your stuff.
Mhm.
All your stuff. Huge sleds. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
and the volunteers help you get everything on there. So you bring a sled, bring your stuff, carry it out there. We have volunteers out there that are helping drive people who can't physically get themselves out there as well. And we have some special parking that will help people who can't physically get themselves out there, and white vans that specifically will drive them up that road.
Mhm.
So we have that question a lot every year, but bring your sleds, bring your ice cleats, huff it out there.
Bring a
like
chair,
old
bring a
school,
heater.
Bring your,
Yeah.
Yep.
yep,
That's-
bring your stuff.
that's-
We don't allow propane on the buses.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean,
Well, I know that one of the things that we did a couple years ago is we dropped my son and his buddy off, and they, just did a quick loop in the boat ramp. They had their stuff ready to go, hopped out, and took off. And then we went and parked and rode the bus over, and it worked out pretty well. But your lines are down. There's fish in the area. You catch a fish. It can be anything,
Yeah.
almost
Anything.
anything.
Can be anything. It's all weight based at the in-person contest on the ice, as well as some timing things there, because There's some fish that, when we're catching 8 to 1,400 fish a year on average, you get some people that come in with the exact same size fish.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the top spot is, if they're the same size, is going to go to the person who gets it in first.
Yeah.
So that's why we have bags and buckets. Put some water in a bucket and throw that fish in there, because we're trying to release these fish as well.
Mm-hmm.
We are a live release tournament, and we are incredibly successful working hand in hand with the DNR in order to get these fish reacclimated as soon as possible after we get them out of the ice. So you'll reel your fish up. I know if you catch a fish and you're excited about it, you're going to feel the excitement from those around you.
Yeah.
Throw it in that bucket of water, that bag of water, and bring it up to the weigh-in tent at center ice as soon as you can. You get a little weigh-in slip, walk it through the scales, get your printed ticket with your weight on it, and then it gets sent over to the judges and on the leaderboard.
Mm-hmm.
DNR is sitting right by the live release hole. Get those fish sent back down to the water.
Mm-hmm.
They do everything and has worked hard over the years to increase our percentage of fish that are thrown back. We're fishing some deep water in some places. There's places where on our contest site where you can fish 6 feet of water.
Mm-hmm.
There's places where you can fish 60 feet of water and deeper. You're reeling up fish with swim bladders that come out their mouths from that height, that pressure change. They're finding ways in order to get those fish all the way to the bottom as fast as possible so that they can get back to normal and try to swallow that again and then release them. So we have a very good release percentage, and anything we don't, we donate.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some fish that don't make it, but those get donated to an organization that we've worked with for years called Pikes for Vets, who actually do fish fries for veterans around the area that aren't able to go fishing anymore.
Yeah,
so we find ways to utilize this. There's no waste.
None.
There is no waste.
Well, it's definitely encouraging to do the live release thing, because you're right, that's a lot of pressure on a particular spot, and a lot of fish get caught. 800 to 1,400
on average every year.
It depends on the year and the weather and what's happening in the lake.
Pressures. Yep.
Well, but still, it doesn't necessarily matter if you have a half-pound perch or whatever, because you talk about getting there. There's an order that things occur. Talk a little bit about the staggering of the prize handing out. Whoever wants to take that one.
Yeah, so what we have is we have 150 prizes, little over $250,000 worth of prizes that are on there now. And with that, the first place is a pickup truck. So you can choose between an F-150 or from a GMC, and that's help from our friends at Mills Automotive Group. But we do have is that we have four-wheelers and side-by-sides and clam stuff and suits and you name it, but we like to spread some of those prizes out. So an example is 150th place is still a four-wheeler.
Mm-hmm.
So so first place obviously is a pickup, so that's pretty sweet. But if you get 50th, that's still an amazing prize.
Yeah.
And we throw it all around, and that just kind of helps keep it fun, keep it fair, but kind of getting excited for, man, I want to be 75th place.
Yeah.
That's actually a lot of fun.
You're watching that leaderboard, hoping someone gets a bigger fish. How often have you been in a contest and hope you get beaten by someone else so you get kicked down a prize?
Well, and you can, I suppose, I don't know what do the rules say about like keeping a fish in a bucket for a little while? Do you need to go right away, or is there no rule?
You have to go right away.
Go right away. You know,
Absolutely.
Fish has to be alive.
Yeah.
And you can register as many fish as you want. We'll kick out the little ones, and your biggest fish will count. So register as many fish as you want. Our system will kick out your smaller ones and will naturally pick up the biggest ones.
So are you aware of what you're winning when you weigh the fish, or is it the end of the event?
End of the event. Once the leaderboard's finalized.
Yeah. So the excitement maintains itself throughout the event.
The other thing that a lot of people don't understand about the day of and the process in which you're talking about, and I found this interesting recently because I had a pretty good conversation with somebody at the ice show in St. Paul was, well, I would love to do it, but my kids and my wife, they like coming to the lake with me, but they don't love fishing. And I don't know that I want to spend, $35, $50, depending on what sale we're having, And I was like, well, you don't have to. And he's like, what do you mean I don't have to? And so you can come out to our contest with your family. And if you want to fish and send your wife and kids or your husband and kids, because women in fishing, hello, here I am.
Yep.
you can. We don't charge you anything to come into
Just to
the
come see it.
contest.
Oh, it's public
You
water.
can
Come join us.
Yeah, come join us for the day. Come
Get some
enjoy
cheese
the
curds.
vendors.
Oh, why wouldn't
Like
you?
we legit build the biggest city for one day
Yeah.
in Crow Wing County in the middle of a lake.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can come out and your kids can come as long as they're not fishing. I mean, you're gonna get our security team is really good. I mean, we like our redheaded leader, but
He does have a fantastic beard.
I
He does have
know,
a
isn't it
beautiful beard.
Been
beautiful?
working on it since high school.
I don't know if we can zoom in on that, but
It only took it's taken them 25 years to get there.
that's how I would hope a bouncer at an ice fishing event would look.
Oh
right?
yeah. I had to grow it in just for that actually.
Right.
Yep, beard and training.
But no, he's like, you can come out and enjoy the event and just check it out. I mean, we have incredible vendors
Mhm.
and things to do. Our Youth Olympics is so much fun. We have Youth Olympics starting at 9 a.m. where kids can come out, and the first 100 kids that come out get a bucket of cool ice fishing stuff. So, I mean, if you don't have ice fishing stuff,
There's like
send
a
your
bowl
kid
of
out.
lures
to-
and a whole
Mhm.
bunch of awesome stuff in there.
Yeah, send your kid out to win some stuff so then you can ice fish it.
Well, and along those lines, I don't think you need to go out there prepared to fish a very serious hard-nosed tournament. You can
No.
come out with a rod with a little. You can use live bait, I would assume, right?
Yep.
Oh, yep.
Yep.
You
It
can,
has to be below 4 inch.
4 inches.
4 inches.
4
Right.
inches in length.
Yep.
so you don't need to be hardcore
No.
to enjoy this event the way it was meant to be enjoyed. And I think that's the attractive thing to me. My wife especially does not love to ice fish, but after we've talked about this over and over again, she's like, we need to go out there as a family and let's get some more friends and we'll have our own little crew. I don't know that we're going to have a flag yet this year. That'll be up to Todd to
We
bring the
got
flag.
time.
Well, we do have time. But Todd's really good about making t-shirts. There's one thing that Todd has, it's a hidden talent. He has a vision for t-shirts, and I think I need to bring you in on that, Todd.
I'm a pun guy.
Yeah.
So,
Talk about how important it is to look the part, Todd, because I know you're going to show up looking the part.
well, I've got all kinds of rain and ice suits just like you, Thomas, and I'm like, as you know, I'm sitting here, you know, a couple thousand or 1,000 miles away from y'all, and the more you talk about it, the more excited I'm getting for, you know, January 31st, February 1st to get here, because I want to see, live, breathe, and eat this experience, this event. It's been something I've been wanting to do here for 5-6 years. So I'm super pumped and geeked up to be out there. But just listening to y'all talk, I've not just been sitting here looking at emails. I've got some questions for y'all. So you're talking earlier about how you take core samples of the ice, and you've all become kind of science experts on ice and the makeup of it and the composition. Probably not something you had on the bingo card years ago, but to me it sounds almost like a lot like a golf course superintendent and how they take core samples of certain greens and they maintain the course. But what you're dealing with is something completely different and unique, because you're so reliant on the temperature and winds and everything, all the variables that go into ice making. So to me that just kind of stood out, and I'm fascinated by the process by which you're talking earlier about the grid pattern for where to drill the holes. Okay. The actual hole drilling, how far in advance of the event does that start? Because obviously you got to have the playing field, the level playing field. I appreciated that pun earlier. That's got to be laid out obviously days in advance. So how does the hole drilling, what does that look like?
Yeah, you can take
It's
that,
actually
Andrew.
not days in
It's
advance.
actually just the day before.
It's the
not
day
be
before.
Surprising. Yeah. So the Friday before the contest, contest is held on Saturday morning is when everything kicks off and gets going. Friday morning, usually around 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock, we have the local snowmobile club show up. They have however many riders they can gather. There's 4 quadrants to our contest set up, and they'll start with one quadrant and they'll make a big line and drive all the way across it. And then they'll shift down, make a line back until the whole way is full. Whole quadrant is full with lines in one direction. Then they'll rotate 90 degrees and then drive across those paths to make an X. And they do that in all the quadrants. They put on 40 miles every year across the contest site, just driving grid patterns. So that way, when our hole drillers, we use a Strike Master 40 volts. So they bring those augers out. We switched to all electric a few years ago, which was quite the learning curve but fun. I mean,
Oh,
everyone
it's a
was
blast.
a little nervous because, we all had gas augers growing up.
Worked so good.
And things switched to electric, and oh man, that was
easy,
so
too.
much easier
Did
than
we-
hauling gas cans.
Did you determine how many holes you could get out of a battery, a single charge?
It depends on the weather, but a lot more than I thought.
Yeah.
Way
A
more.
lot
Yeah, we're doing
than I thought.
hundreds.
Yeah.
It wasn't like 250 or something like one of
Yeah.
the years. It was like 250 holes per charge, and then we were just changing the batteries out, bringing them back, charging. It actually went incredibly a lot better than I expected.
Yep.
I was the big naysayer of this is going to be a train wreck. This is terrible. And Strike Master, as they're pooping a group, I got to say is that
If there's
So-
a better
Oh, yeah.
testament for a product, is that it?
So
Yeah.
they actually
Oh, it's huge.
used
Right.
us as their testing facility. I mean, they give us 40, way more than 40 augers a year. They bring them all out for us, and they used us as their testing thing. And they came out with this big media crew, and there's some cool videos on YouTube to check out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When we came out to test and see how many you could do with one charge.
Pretty cool.
But it's pretty incredible. But we have about 45 to 50 volunteers that come out, and they stand side by side, and they zip, walk to the next one,
Yep.
zip, walk to the next one, zip, walk to the next
We do
one.
it just like the snowmobiles. You line them up on that grid pattern like the snowmobiles did, and then they just walk in pairs all the
And-
way across that quadrant, drilling holes wherever they see a cross
Yep.
of snowmobile tracks.
And what's kind of cool is that to drill the 20 to 25,000 holes, they're done by noon or 1.
Oh yeah, especially since we moved to the 40 volts. It's a lot faster.
We don't
than
have
the
to-
gas augers. We don't have to stop and fill gas and worry about it kicking out in one which way or the other, and it's way faster.
Burning a hole in your
Yeah.
jacket.
So
Burning
you
holes in
do
your jacket.
essentially. You said how many? 25,000 holes.
Between 20 and
It-
25, it kind of
It depends on the year.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
would say on average 20,000.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Depending on the year, a little less, or how
40,
they're
whatever that year was.
that one
Yeah.
year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
With ice conditions, that's part of working closely with our local officials in the sheriff's department, the DNR. Based on ice conditions, we might have to spread things out a little more,
Mhm.
make sure that weight is evenly distributed. So they said, they'll say to us, can you spread things out a little bit more than you did, the year before?
and we do.
And we
Yeah.
do.
Mhm.
I want to say they're like 8 feet apart, right?
Usually
that's a tight pattern for really good ice.
we try
We
8 to 10.
8 to
8
10.
to 10.
Sometimes 15.
Sometimes 12.
Yeah, so it varies a little bit, and
That's a neat algorithm, I guess, to not only keep people moving around and offer fresh water, but if there is a lesser inches or I don't want to say not enough ice, but lesser ice than maybe is ideal, that's how you accommodate that. It's
correct.
spread people out. And I've been ice fishing for 25 years now, and I've never, I don't go out until the first truck falls through. Like, that's a general rule. After that's done, I'm out on the ice. But there really is, I think the people that don't know, they have a tendency to ask, well, is it safe to have that many people and all that equipment out there? You don't even know. You don't even realize it's going on.
yeah, and the one thing I will want to mention for anyone who wants to experience this contest is, we do drill these holes the day before, and there will be ice on them when you come
Yes.
back in the morning. So if you have a little hand, my scoop shovel for ice has a chisel on the
On the
back end
back.
of it.
Yes,
I've
you can
used
do
that, but there are people that have chisels out
Mhm.
there. We don't have them for rent or to use. They would disappear super
Oh,
quick.
yeah. They
But-
probably fall down the holes.
That's just it. But ask people around you. That's the community we keep talking about. There is not a single person out there that would say, no, you can't
Mhm.
use this, or do it for you. I have seen that
Mhm.
more times than I can count.
Well, let's talk a little bit quickly about your gear pack, what you need to
Yeah.
bring with you. If you want to come prepared, it's probably wise to bring a sled, like a jet sled.
Yep.
Something you can pull behind you. You're not bringing your flip over because you need to be out, or you need to be able to see what's going on. It's part of the rules.
Yep.
Some kind of chair, something to sit on. A heater if you want, but you can't take the propane in the bus, so you're going to need to drag that out. You're on your own. I think I said a chisel, the paint bucket, or some. I've seen some other anglers use bubblers. I suppose that would work too.
They do.
A lot of people
freeze.
don't do that either, but it's just you just keep chunking out your ice. You
Yeah.
know? So it's just a little skim on the top. Just keep scooping that out.
How much ice you think grows overnight? An inch, two?
If it's, if it depends on the insulation factor and snow
Mhm.
coming into that part of the season. We'll have more snow than we do right now. I've always kind of said if you're below 0 degrees and we have 24 hours below zero, you can grow up to an inch of ice a day.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Is that going to happen everywhere? No. Is every little piece of ice going to grow the exact same way? Absolutely not.
But if you're having to break it out of your hole in the morning after it's set for more than 12 hours, I mean, would you expect an inch?
I would expect an
So,
inch
yep.
without insulation.
Mhm.
I think that can change. Obviously, if you're drilling a hole and you have exposed water at the very top, that's going to be the first to freeze no matter what.
Right.
It's the ice grows from the bottom down.
Mhm.
So once that top level is frozen, you have to get through that layer of insulation to
But
freeze down.
You'll
Plan
need
to
chipping.
chip it out.
Yeah.
Plan to chip it
and
out.
we've really never
An inch
had
or
too
less.
many
No.
complaints
Mhm.
ever, really. I mean,
Well, I think the
very
bottom line,
rare.
the way this whole thing is set up, it encourages fairness. It encourages, and I think everybody really wants to play by the rules because of the expectations everybody has for being able to see the holes, knowing that you guys are out, just making sure everybody's playing together. I think that adds confidence to, like, if you're going to drive up from Texas,
Yep.
you're going to know that this entire event is put on to accommodate everybody.
Yeah, and that's what Mike had mentioned earlier about the contest site opening at 8 a.m.
Mhm.
We have checkpoints you have to go through in order to get into the contest site. We have a large buffer zone plowed around our contest site. So we have people starting to line up at 6 a.m. or earlier sometimes, depending on the weather. If it's 30-mile-an-hour winds, they might not be there super early.
There have been some cold ones.
There's
I
been some
remember.
cold
There's
ones,
been a few.
and there's been some beautiful ones. So
Yeah.
people will get there and get lined up at 8 a.m. We have volunteers at all of our checkpoints around the contest site, and then you can start walking in once you've had all your stuff checked. We want to make sure we're not having glass bottles on the ice. There's bait over 4 inches.
Mhm.
Want to make sure people have what they need. Some stuff they can't have, and I think 99% of the time it's all just a matter of I didn't realize that one sucker minnow I got because I'm setting up a pike tip setup or tip up or something. I didn't realize it was over 4 inches. That's not something they're trying to, they're not going to weigh.
Sometimes they'll say, "Can I cut the tail off?" Or
exactly. So they come in at 8
No
a.m.
big deal.
So no one's allowed to claim a hole before 8 a.m. You can't get out there at midnight or right after we drill holes and put up a bunch of markers to save your holes for your friends.
So if people do that, it ends up being a bad day because some chairs and some stuff disappear.
Yeah, I get a lot of buckets from that.
Yeah. So you can't mark holes. You can come out and test that day
Yeah.
on Friday. So
Come
we'll have a
pre-fish.
couple people go and just kind of pre-fish on Friday and check depths and do that.
I was going to ask you that.
I don't have a problem with that.
That makes sense. You can run around, check everything, but you don't want to sore mouth your prizes tomorrow. So maybe take it easy.
Yeah.
One of the things that's always fascinated me too is what wins. Do you guys have a memory or have some type of list of what the winning fish over? What's a memorable fish? I know a couple years ago, 2 years ago, it was a young man that caught almost an 8-pound walleye.
Yeah.
Which is a great
Zach.
story, by the way.
So Zach ended up catching his walleye. 13 years old, wins the pickup truck. That was probably my highlight. This is actually my 20th year doing it, and that moment was the highlight of doing it all. Because we're up on stage and he's there, and I'm giving the truck away, and it was just the coolest thing of just excitement, pride. But then he instantly got a little terrified because I did let him know, as I said, he's like, "What do I do after this?" And I said, "See that line of people down there?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, that's Fox News, that's ESPN, and you got some interviews."
Yeah.
So he was a little scared, but he was super cool guy. And yeah, just giving the truck away. That was on a walleye. We've had Tulabee win.
Tulabee have won.
Yeah.
Yes.
Eel pout.
Eel pout.
Eel pout.
Northern.
Year? I think
I had an eel pout win my year that I chaired. One of my really good friends from growing up won in 2000. Was it 13? That Broer won.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
One with a good northern. So there's a wide variety that can win.
Well, the whitefish to me is the secret. If you want a tactical secret, and I have never won anything, so don't listen to anything I'm saying, but a lot of the anglers that set up on the deeper edge target whitefish, and you can
Yes.
catch a pretty big one.
Oh yeah.
And they can put up quite the fight, and they're measurable and weighable, and they can really go a long way.
And they've won pickups.
Mhm.
They have. They've won.
They're not glorious though, are they?
No,
they're gross.
but they're
They are kind of gross, slimy, stinky. It's like a freshwater tarpon.
They're a hardy fish, and people can catch them. Coming in suspended in 60 feet of water. They're a fish that's caught more and more frequently every year of this contest. And if you catch one early on in this contest, and not even early on, pretty much throughout the day, there's a really, really good chance you're on this leaderboard somewhere.
There is.
Get that fish, get out there, get it up here.
And can I actually do like a slight little side plug inside of our tournament? Because we actually do have a tournament inside of our tournament called Catch of the Day.
Okay.
So we ended up adding that a handful of years back. And what that is that it's just an extra $10. And you end up getting a ticket into this. We choose a fish species the week before the tournament. And then the winner, the largest of that one species, wins an ice castle plus an auger plus a camera system plus cash.
Are you getting that? An ice castle?
Yeah.
A trailer?
Yeah. So you're actually getting an ice castle. Last year we chose sunfish. So Sunny actually walked away with an ice castle.
Yep.
So it's a fun side tournament that we ended up creating in there as well. Different species every year. So we released that about the week before, but it's not just, as we were saying, first place or the biggest, 150th still wins a 4-wheeler, and the winner of Catch of the Day, they walk away with an ice castle.
Man, there's so many great reasons to come to this. Todd, are you bringing your truck because you're going to win?
I'm going to have to look at what American Airlines guidelines are for putting an ice castle on a plane back to Buffalo.
Yeah, they might be able to tow it down the runway, but
just bring it and hope for the best. I'm sure it'll be fine.
I know you had some more questions, so what do you got next?
Well, just listening to the different species, and so one other thing. So the playing field that I know it varies based on conditions and ice quality. Typically, what is the depth range for that part of the bay and that part of the lake that from maybe the outer edge to the inner edge?
You get a little
what is the typical depth range?
Everything.
Yeah. So our tournament is a mile by a mile square, pretty darn close. So when you look at it, we've got 6 foot to 60 foot or whatever that is, and there's drop offs. There's
it's a lot of structure.
There's a lot of different structure options. So an average, I don't know, probably 25 foot. I'd say
that 25 to 30. That's part of what makes this contest so successful is the structure we do have there. You can target different species based on depth of water you want to fish, and there is so many differences. I have groups that come out and all they do is set up tip-ups and then play catch and football, and they bring out a huge grill, and they make it a time for their family to get together.
And electronics are allowed.
Or some of these people's excuse to get away from home for a little bit.
What's that?
You guys do allow sonar units and electronics?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Anything that's legally allowed in Minnesota, you can use during the contest. So bring your Vexilar. Bring your AquaView, a lot of AquaView cameras or Garmin live scopes, whatever you want to use. Go out there and get it. My dad fished this contest and then became a Jaycee. The first year in 1991, he had a fishing pole that's actually I think it's in my garage right now. He had a bobber and one of those wooden dowel poles with you wrap the line around. And he won a boat, and then he got voluntold he's joining the chapter. So
voluntold,
yeah.
I didn't know Tom won a boat.
Yeah, it was a toughie. We only had it. We had it for a long time. Didn't get rid of it that long ago.
That's funny.
And so you don't have to have all that stuff. It can be a very simple setup. The fact is, there's 10,000 lines around, and everyone has their own strategy.
Right.
But the strategy goes out the window when you have all those.
That's right. You kind of
as a marketer and as like the person, my creative brain. There is one day before I turn 40, which is not far away. Maybe that's what my role as a rooster will be. I'm going to figure out how at the start of the contest, I'm going to put a camera on the corner of one side underneath the water and light it up all the way across to figure out how to capture all of the lines dropping in. I want to figure out how to do that in my lifetime.
The water's got to be pretty clear for that view.
I know.
It's interesting because you talk about depth and, where people fish and what they want to do. And everyone, like I said, has their own strategy. And that kind of goes out the window when you have that many baits going down in the same area. Some people are saying, you know what? there's so many baits. I'm going to fish the outside edge, and that's where the fish are going to, it has to be. More times I see the walleye come right out of, dead center of a
That's
quadrant.
what happened. That's what happened when Zach won. Is his walleye was on the shallow end of the playing field, and I was on the deep edge because the guys I was fishing with, they're like, well, so you're getting fresh fish coming from the deeper water, and we're targeting, whitefish and whatever. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then you're right. You're like, all of a sudden there's 350,000 lines down there, and those fish have a buffet of options. You're like,
Right.
I don't think that what I know matters.
It's true.
It doesn't.
We have some contestants who come out and fish with roast beef and hot dogs, and I'm not even kidding.
Yep. What are you fishing with
It's
today?
insane.
I got my can of corn over there. That seems to have been working the past couple years for me. I'm like, all right, let her rip.
So the skill that you show up to this event with might serve you well. It might do nothing for you.
Yep. So
Pretty much.
So really the number one thing is it doesn't matter how much you think you know or you don't know. That's what makes it awesome for people of all different abilities, ice fishing. Just show up, drop a line in the water, have a great time, and meet new friends.
Well, that's the thing that I found is I ended up walking around. I didn't fish the entire event. I think I fished for a while and decided I was going to go ask some questions, and that actually worked out to my favor to just meet some people. And I mean, I had more fun walking around looking at the different groups, their emblems on their flags. I mean, people take this for real. They get their own stuff made, but I think that opportunity to just jive with some folks in the community is a good time.
Let's raise money and let's give a bunch away and let's have a great time doing it.
Yeah.
Everyone that comes out
Absolutely.
and has been there before, they've seen the what you need, and we've touched on this a little bit, but just so everyone is clear, and that if you just don't know what to do, go to our website, check out our frequently asked questions, or send us an email and we will talk you through it. The biggest thing you need is a fishing pole and warm clothes. If you have those two things, you can find everything else you need on the ice. Whether it's you're going to fish with a plastic bait that you have, or you ask a neighbor for 1 minnow or 2 minnows. Everyone buys a scoop, and you don't go through a scoop of minnows that day. Warm clothes, a fishing pole, you can fish this contest. Anybody.
And have a shot at a pickup.
Yeah. Like a realistic shot.
Absolutely. Our website, our social media. I mean, for the 2 weeks leading up, we're sending out pro tips. We're sending out, rules and regulations, some fun facts, like all of the things that you need to know. And you can message us on in there too. We have multiple people who are answering, and everybody's knowledgeable, and we can definitely help you out. So.
Well, I don't think we've mentioned this. What the official date is?
February 1st.
February 1.
And the day before is our kickoff party. We're taking over Zorba's. We're gonna have giveaways, silent auctions, just an amazing time. We're kicking it back to the 90s.
Oh yeah.
So,
by the way, Todd, you got to throw away all of your really fancy gear, because the whole extravaganza is 90s theme this year, since it's our 35th.
it's our
Okay.
35th,
anniversary.
35th year. Yep.
Neon windbreakers.
Yep. I want.
I guarantee you, Todd is going to have something.
Zubaz pants.
Oh, that's
yeah.
mandatory.
Starter jackets.
I wouldn't
Love it.
recommend
Okay.
wearing your jellies.
I'm totally wearing that on Friday.
The Zorba's thing is interesting. So what goes on there?
So it's a time it's a moment that we can thank our sponsors and the people that help us be able to make sure this goes on. We've got live music, giveaways, silent auctions,
Pizza, nachos.
pizza, nachos,
nachos.
drink specials. That's also where you can go have. We have our own beer, the Ice Auger Ale, which is made by Roundhouse. That's a great place to have some of that too. It's just a good way to just get everybody together before we get everybody together.
Pretty much.
It's a good way
This
to
year
think
is unique. So we've never actually opened our kickoff party to
of it.
everybody.
Was it like all the volunteers, everybody that put in the work? It was exclusive,
It
or
used to be a sponsorship.
Okay.
Party,
Yeah. So it's always been a sponsorship thing,
which is wonderful.
which is amazing. Last year we brought in Charlie Barron's as a comedy show and sold some tickets. We used to do like the dueling pianos. I mean,
Beer
it's kind of
tasting.
evolved throughout the years. And we've kind of talked, we went back and forth this year, and since it's our 35th year, we really just wanted to have a party and have fun and make it low stress and invite 10,000 of our best friends and enjoy the ride. I mean, we raise money and celebrate each other because a lot of us have been doing this for a lot of years, and like Andrew mentioned, we have quite a few members whose parents did this. Like, I mean, I'm a Brainerd transplant, but Andrew's parents did this and for many years. So some of us have been like doing this since they were kids. So 35 years is a big deal, and we want to have the biggest, baddest extravaganza we've had yet.
Well, Todd, interestingly, Todd and I have both talked. Like, I know that In-Fisherman has been a part of this community for a very long time. I don't know before us if there was ever any kind of involvement, but it's like, why not? And I think going forward, we need to be involved. If nothing else, I know Doug has a closet full of leftover rods and reels. I mean, we can come up with some pretty wonderful prize packages, but going forward, like the community side of this begs to have those that have established themselves in Brainerd be a part of it. I think that it's very important. And the one thing that Todd and I are dying to know, and we need to ask, we don't know if there's going to be an answer here.
I love these kind of questions.
Oh, here we go.
I'm ready for it.
Well,
I'm a size 10.
Hold your hat up, if you don't mind, Mike, right to the camera. Take your hat off quick.
Well, here, Thomas, I got a copy of the program right here.
Okay,
too,
so the question is...
Oh, I got this.
This looks like Doug Stangy. It's a little bit...
Oh, the logo?
It's a little bit cartoonized, if you will. But if there is one person who doesn't wear a hat while ice fishing... Here, let me get switched over to you, Mike. There we go. Does that not look like Doug? Do we know the answer to that?
We need to figure it out. I don't. We have an old Jayce. I don't want to say he's old. He's gonna make me regret saying that. He is a past member of a rooster of the chapter. His name's Greg Borders. He's been involved for many years, and we always joke that it's just like it's the hat he wears, it's the clothes, everything. So
It's like
I think we need to have a contest. I think we need to have a photo contest on
Thomas,
the ice.
If
That's a good idea.
If Doug's in the building, you could probably get the answer pretty quick.
Well, he's told me that he thinks it is, but he goes, but a lot of years have gone by. I'm not 100% sure, but we've often wondered, and if that's the case,
we might have to call like Kevin Thiesing or.
Well, I know is that I've asked some of the roosters who
Kevin
is
Dennis.
this, and nobody has given me an answer. Like, who is this? And nobody's given me a truthful answer.
I mean, we secretly, Todd and I want it to be done.
We
but
yeah, we want him. Yeah, we want the Jerry West, right? He's the logo.
Is he going to be out there?
But I think Kevin created the logo.
Kevin,
If I
might.
tell him to, he will be.
No,
Todd
Kevin
said he's gonna
Thiesing.
be
Oh, he might have. Is he going to be out there this
Well,
year?
we've joked around about getting the whole staff out there because Todd and I both want to make sure that In-Fisherman is moving forward as a part of the community as best possible. And I'm not just saying that because you guys are here. We've talked about this at nauseum. But we may kind of make it a thing like, listen, the boss is coming to town, Todd. We need to have Doug, Rob. We need to have Jim and Chuck and everybody just come out and we'll sit together. We'll get the holes. And we're going to expense them, right, Todd? Expense the holes, right? Just kidding.
Of course.
It's a write-off.
Everything's expensed. I'd say is that you need to go get yourself
That's
a new
right.
suit.
That's
You just do it at Fleet Farm. Everybody wins there too. So just go and rig yourself completely up and just send in the receipt.
What
You're
we
fine.
could do, I have an idea, Andrew. if we can get Doug to come, maybe we can set him up in that position right there.
Ooh.
And take the photo and then be like, what do you guys think? But see, in the day when Doug was fishing, he often wouldn't wear a hat and had the longer, blacker hair that fits that image. Now that has been modernized, I guess, a bit to where it's, I said cartoonized. I can't think of the word, digitized or worked on over the years. But
so I just sent Mike an email a few weeks ago of all the logos through the years, like how they've evolved. We're gonna have to look at it a little bit closer now.
Well, and understand too, it's not going to hurt our feelings if it's not. We're just curious because it does.
There's a chance.
It looks like him.
Yeah,
There's
we need to get him
chance.
out. We need to get him in that position and get that picture taken. And I encourage everyone who's on the ice that weekend to try to recreate this picture to figure it out.
That'd be a great idea.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it? Who is
Yeah,
the?
you could have like a little booth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You could set up a booth out there,
Who
almost like a dunk
is
tank, right? Like,
the
hey,
logo
yeah.
of the Extravaganza?
Sitting on
Very
a case
valid.
of old style.
Yeah, you ain't nobody if you
That's
ain't
actually how it was created.
This
was
whole event.
This whole event was 6 guys sitting on a box of beer, writing on the box, the other box that they drank.
Of course. Well, let's be honest. What's ice fishing?
Yeah.
Right?
Coming up with ideas on how to raise
Coming
money.
up with ideas on how to raise money for a great cause.
And
That
they
is
came up
how
with
this
they came up with this idea. They started writing a few things down, and before you know it, I think it was like a week or two later, a guy went out and one of the originators went out and took a mortgage out on his house, and said, "I think this is what the community needs. There's not really a tournament out there. There was a few small ones, and they just said, let's just make this big." So it started off with a mortgage on a house on the back of a beer box, and with that, the amazing part is being able to carry on that legacy of just some guys sitting in a garage having a couple beers to what we've been able to, with the help of the community, turn this truly into and keep it going for 35 years.
35 years.
Yep. That guy, his mortgage, and Stuart Mills
Yep.
is how this contest happened.
Yep.
Yeah, that the level of community, we hammered on it a bunch, but the community support all the way back to the Mills family, who helped us with some of that startup cash in the very, very beginning, and those generous donations that have meant more to this contest and this community than people will ever know. It's emotional to think about this as you're standing on stage at 11:55. We're singing the national anthem with this massive American flag, and you think about what's been accomplished by the people before you, and how they've got it to where they are. Where I'm pretty sure we're creeping up on that $5 million donated back after the contests.
Think about that.
Over the years, $5 million we've been able to donate into our local charities and local nonprofits around here. That's a fun number.
That's why we do it.
It is. And if you really, really want to capture what this tournament is to those who put this together, because, I mean, there's 25, 30 of us who sit around the table all year round. It's not, Mike gets to be the face of the Extravaganza this year, and it's not about Mike. And I get to be the face of the Extravaganza next year, and it's not about me. And Andrew did it a couple years ago, and it's not about him. It's about our group of people. And these people become our family. And if you really want to capture a moment that defines the love that we have for this silly little contest, is that 11:55 moment when we're all sitting on that stage. It's
surreal.
It's a sense of pride that you can't fix. You can't fake it. It's and I love watching our newer kids that we bring along with us and in their first one, and I tell every single one of them, do not miss that moment. I don't care what you're doing and where you are. Don't miss that moment, because it is truly incredible, because you get to see everything you did just go off without a hitch, because it's beautiful.
Well, that's it right there. Is the days, the weeks, the months of preparation leading up to this, the anticipation of, are we going to have ice, and as we're getting closer, it's all coming together, right? You still have there. Lord knows a lot can happen, but it's going to go off no matter what. And to put the amount of work that you guys do, the community involvement, the contributions, the donations, the end goal of continuing to fund charities locally, there is no bigger pride than giving to other people. And if the servant heart that comes with this type of activity and this type of event, it's hard to capture that. You guys know, because you do it, you live it. But I think what you see as a result is there are people that would consider themselves hardcore, that might fish local bass organizations or regional or even national, depending on who ends up at this thing. They can set down, this will sound odd, but they can set down that pride. They can set down that level of competition, come and be a part of it, and walk away with a little bit more than a new truck or a prize. Maybe maybe it's an idea for a flag to plant in the middle of your group next year.
Yeah.
Right. To me, that's where the fun is had, and the fact that you can walk away with an experience that you're like, man, that was the best tournament I've ever fished, and I didn't catch jack, or my 4-inch fish didn't make it, or whatever the deal was. You are a part of something bigger, and you know it the minute you leave.
And we often hear that. Actually, we hear that all the time. And, there the years where we can't control Mother Nature and we can't control all the things, and we do everything we can. It's amazing. I have people who ask me, how do you sit and watch these people tear you guys to shreds? You're all volunteers. And that is the most important thing for people to understand, is that everybody who sits, those 25, 30 people who sit around our table all year round, are all volunteers.
With
Not
full-time
one of us
jobs,
get paid.
doing everything else.
We all have full-time jobs. We all have families. We all have all these things happening around us, and we take time out of our days to come in and meet and put this thing together for charity. Like, we're all volunteers.
All just to give it back.
Just to give it back to the community. And, people are like, well, how do you sit back and watch these people on social media tear you apart? And I'm like, you wait until 5 o'clock when everybody's off of work. You just wait, because we don't say anything. Not one of us will say anything. You wait, because those people who said just what you said come out of the woodworks when they get off of work, and they support us. And it's absolutely incredible, because there's so many people who get it, and those people who say, I didn't catch a darn thing, but it was the best day I've had all year.
Yeah.
Those are our people. Those are the people why we do it every year.
Well,
no matter what. It's absolutely incredible.
There's a good piece of advice for everybody in today's modern digital age, is to maybe don't read the comments.
Nope.
Who cares? Because the real experience is out there. The fact that you have people lining up to push snow when the day comes to get things ready. You got, a waiting list of people to run augers, and the snowmobile club comes together, and all these pieces that you guys manage to, it does take an organization. It takes a group of people to fill spots, to get the word out, to get the word all the way to Buffalo, New York, to get the publisher of In-Fisherman to come back out here. And that's an important experience that you end up vicariously hearing about for years. And it's not just about setting up on the ice and being cold. I think that you have a chance to win something great. You have an opportunity to participate in a world-renowned experience, event, a fishing tournament. But I think that what makes me happy at any kind of tournament, and this was the Bassmaster Elite Series I spent a lot of time with. Todd has worked with a lot of pros at these major events, is it feels like the element of pride when each one of those events goes off without a hitch. Even if something does happen unexpected, like, there is a certain element of, I was a part of making this happen. I was a part of sharing the story. I was a part of that. And I think that supersedes the chance to win. You maybe don't go out with the expectation, right? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I'm thinking in the back of my mind right now, my son, who's ultra competitive. He's like, man, the fishing sucked. I'm like, yeah, but take a step back and look what you did, right? It didn't matter, did it? When it's all said and done, maybe you won something, maybe you didn't. But you might have walked away with a memory, with a reason to invite more friends next year, to make your flag a little bigger, to make your crew a little bit bigger, and something that's set aside to create that scenario. That's what I'm into.
Yeah.
And be great to win something, but I mean, who cares? I really don't.
I met a guy my year chairing, and he said to me, he goes, you know what, I don't ice fish. I don't mind the cold. I snowmobile and do things like that, but I'm not a fisher person, but I really want to support the event. I have some friends that come out here, and they're scattered throughout the contest. He doesn't buy a ticket, but he comes and he goes into a raffle tent. He loves raffles, so he buys raffle tickets and stuff out there on the ice. But he just drags a sled around with a chair built into it, his little cooler of food and his couple drinks, and he just walks around bouncing from his friend groups, and that's his way of supporting. He's not the guy to sit at a fish hole and sit there and stare at a bobber for 3 hours. He's constantly moving and talking, and that's great. That's part of what builds it. Without those people, you won't have the experience on ice that it is currently and always has been. You don't have to be a fisher person. Come out there and just have fun.
Oh, that people watching just in itself
It
is
gets so
world
much
class.
fun.
Kind of funny. Yeah. I like my favorite one. I got a phone call one time from, I think it was Care 11 or Fox News or something like that. And she's like, "Hi, Sheena, this is so and so," and I was like, "Oh, hey, how's it going? What can I do for you? What time do you want to set up an interview?" She's like, "Oh, I don't want to talk to you. I would really like you to find me those bra pong ladies." Because I was like, "You don't want to talk to any of us?"
They got to find those.
Nope. She's like, "I would like to talk to the bra pong ladies who do the breast cancer awareness fundraiser at your event." And like, I'm like, I will.
You'll have to find that. It's a giant board they staple
Yeah.
bras to, and you take ping pong balls and you try to throw it into each one.
Man, if that's not
And
the
they
most
do-
Minnesota thing, that's
It
awesome.
is totally Minnesota, and they raise money and send it to the Breast Cancer Awareness
Which
Society
is fantastic.
in Brainerd, and it's awesome, and we love it. We love it because they're there every year. They've
They
been
are a
doing it for
staple.
years.
It's
And they're
interesting.
staple, and it's great.
It's interesting to me the interior communities that kind of bubble up within the community, where you have the side pot that you talked about, the bra pong.
Bra
Yeah.
pong.
Okay.
You've got
Scared to even say that. But listen, this event, it's coming up here. By the time you hear this, Christmas will have passed, and we're looking at less than a month. So make sure you buy your holes. And before we shut this down, our fabulous third wheeler here has been very patient. And if you have any other questions, Todd, this is a great time to drop them. And I know that you're going to get your answers once you're here. But what else you got? Anything?
I don't have any more questions. It just, just listening to the last little bit here. The only word that just comes to mind is just purity. I think the community that's created by this event, that gets behind this event, man, it's hard to find something like this really anywhere else. Take the ice fishing part out of it. We all live in communities. There's all kinds of charities going on around everything. But
Yeah.
Man, this thing has stood, the test of time. Obviously constant turnover in leadership, but you all have the same mission. You're all pulling on the same rope, to borrow a phrase from your college coach there in Minnesota. You're all rowing the boat, so to speak. But I don't get geeked up for much in fishing, but I am freaking pumped to come to this event and sit on a bucket with my son and wander around and meet the people and just soak it all in. Like I've been to plenty of Buffalo Bills games, and that's a scene unto itself. But I think what you've all just described is one big tailgate party.
That's exactly what it is.
Good
way to put it, yeah.
And it's that reason,
Yeah.
that people that make that experience.
Yeah. So, no, I'm super pumped, and man, hats off to all of you and your whole crew of people there. If I could shake their hands right now, I would. But they're not looking for pats on the back or attaboys. They're just looking to get the job done. And we need more of that. And whatever we can do to help and partner as a local, business partner there in the Brainerd area, we'll do whatever we can. We're
going to do it earlier next year, though,
with this crowd. So
I have some ideas for you guys. We'll talk when we're done.
I like that. Let's write them down, and we can send Todd an email and say, hey, listen, open a checkbook, bro.
Yeah. Let's go.
Don't worry,
find it.
we'll give you a little bit of time. We'll talk to you in person on February 1st.
Yeah, look forward.
Yeah,
to
we'll have to
it.
come find you. You'll get.
Yeah,
to
I'll
see
be
my
wearing
job.
my 90s
Take you
gear
around.
on.
90s gear.
Do you still have a starter jacket, Todd? I'm curious about that. The Buffalo Bills starter jacket? You had to have had it.
So this is a whole nother podcast probably, but it was for another team in the AFC East that I grew up a fan of. And yes, I did have a starter. It was the pullover kind. It wasn't a
Yes.
jacket.
Oh,
was
with
the
the
big, puffy
pocket, you
pullover
could
kind.
fit
It looks-
so many things in there.
Oh,
Those
it looked
things-
ridiculous.
those
Yeah, it was like a
things
whole
were so
trapper
pretty.
keeper as the pouch. It was amazing. Yeah.
Yep.
I grew up a Packers fan, but my brother he beat me to the punch and got a Packers jacket. And I'm like, I can't do that. And I just picked a team. This is in junior high. I picked the Houston Oilers. That thing was just gorgeous.
Yeah.
The red and the blue. And I don't know. I bet my mom donated those things, but
I think
they
I
were sweet.
had a Vikings one.
that ought to be a side pot. Best starter jacket wins a new jacket.
That's not that.
I want to see some Jinko jeans out there.
The big, yeah,
Alright.
gee whiz.
Oh man, I don't have mine anymore.
I want to find some 90s pictures of Mike, like that we can just.
just a whole lot of perms out there, just big hair.
I had the frosted tips and the Jinkos, baby. Yep.
The Jinkos. Gosh, in the 90s, what has happened to us?
Oh, thank
The
goodness.
90s are coming back.
They
I saw
were
some-
they were some good years. They were some good music, and I kind of feel that a lot of the quality experiences of the mid to late 90s is just makes zero sense to my kids. But I say that, but like I still feel like I understood some of the stuff my parents experienced. But God, those are some good years, huh?
The 90s where you be who you want to be, and we're all in this show together.
Yep.
It was just kind of one of these things of just individuality.
Yeah.
Which,
I remember,
frankly, is the tournament too.
it was a glorious day when not everyone was so in depth in technology, and you had to have, who's on the phone because I'm trying to get on the internet right now. Or,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, that famous fax machine sound. And
Yeah.
oh Lord. Well, listen, if you're looking for a cool opportunity, I cannot overemphasize. I'm not a seasoned veteran at this. In fact, I'm really not even very good at ice fishing. But I do enjoy the opportunity to meet new people and experience the community. And this is exactly that. And so as we're leading up to the world famous, the world's largest ice fishing tournament, the 35th annual Brainerd Jaycees Ice Fishing Extravaganza, if you want to buy tickets, Sheena, where can you go buy your holes at right now?
Icefishing.org, and up until until the day of the contest, you can go to any of the fleet farms in Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, North Dakota, and South Dakota.
So they are available generally in the Midwest, but you can buy them virtually if you're not going to be anywhere near those places, right?
Yes, and if you buy them after January 15th, you'll pick them up at will call.
Okay.
And you can get them on the ice the day of as well, up until noon. As soon as the cannon goes off, all ticket sales stop. So up until noon on the ice, you can get them there as well.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And the side pot stuff, how much cash should a guy bring?
For the catch of the day?
Yeah,
$10.
$10.
$10, $20 for raffle tickets. We have two different kinds of raffle tickets. The main prize on one is an ice castle. The main prize in the other is a side-by-side. And, bring as much cash as you want to spend. Most people take card out there nowadays, but
I mean, if the cheese curds are cash only, bring some extra cash because they're to die for.
Depending on the cold, some of those things go in and out. So I would suggest bring some cash.
Yeah.
So buy many, buy often, and just if you have a little bit of money left over, you did it wrong, and just keep donating.
Yep.
Well, and that's that's the other thing. If people are like, well, what I'm doing this, but what am I supporting?
Well, that's it.
We have so many volunteer groups that come and help put this thing on, nonprofits that come. We donate to them because of their volunteer hours coming out. Our main beneficiary has always been Confidence Learning Center here in the Brainerd Lakes area. They are an outdoor recreation and education facility with people with learning and cognitive disabilities. They're a year-round camp that I have the great opportunity to now work for as I'm getting older in the Jaycees and starting to have my family growing up. It allows me an opportunity to work closer to home and be plugged in with an organization that can't do it without the support of this contest. And Sheena has worked there in the past. Mike has been in the Jaycees for a long time now, and the impact that we're able to make locally to all those organizations is really fun to see, and it's really cool to see the appreciation. And it's not even that they expect it; it's that how appreciative it is and the opportunities it gives them to fulfill their missions as well. That's what we're here for.
Well, to make this event go off, you guys have a long list of partners, and I know that that's not an easy thing. This is something that's always impressed me with pro anglers on stage. They can rattle through their jersey and not skip a beat. But who wants to get put on the spot?
This is where Sheena shines.
Sheena is the boss.
I am the boss. Strike Master Augers, Grandview Lodge,
Ice
Striker, Ice Castle,
Fleet Farm.
Gosh, there's so many. Advantage Home Pros, Mike's Tree Company, Nick's Works, Clam, Aquaview,
Northland Sports
Center,
Mr. Heater.
Mr. Heater.
They're a massive one.
So many. Good Lord.
Lakes Gas Company.
Hubbard Radio. I work there. Geez. We have Strike Master. Did we say Strike Master?
Magnum Research.
Magnum Research.
C&L Distributing.
C&L
Distributing.
I found the webpage.
Oh,
Did
thank
you find the
Yep.
webpage? I was.
We all look
for
pretty
the
terrible
webpage.
right now. We're
Well,
like, oh.
Well,
there's
a
like
lot.
50.
And the support that they bring, though, is why we're able to have the
Yes.
leaderboard we do and the prizes we do is because of the support of these companies that are they help us fill those 150 spots.
Yeah.
It's not top 10, top 15, 150
No.
prizes.
Right.
That's a $250,000 prize board up there. That's massive.
And last but not least,
Mills?
I want to thank the employers of everybody that's on our committee as well, because coming up from now until the tournament, that now is kind of turning into the crunch time. The employers understand because there's so much that needs to go on during the day and night, and it kind of consumes us for just being on the committee. It's going to consume each committee member for the next, from now until it goes. So just a personal shout out to the employers themselves.
It takes an army.
It does.
Yeah, and our families.
And
We're
our families.
Super lucky to have spouses that understand. It's nearly impossible. I give kudos to people like Chris and Mandy Dens and like Brandon and Aaron, who have a husband-wife duo on the committee, because there's no way that my kids would survive with food in their mouths if we both were.
Our committee meetings I always have a hallway full of kids playing.
Yeah.
That's pretty fun to see all the
So
kids in the
fun.
community. In the next group coming up behind us, the legacy groups coming in to take a passion and see the passion that their parents put into it in order to step into the role in later years.
It's fun.
It's a great time.
Speaking of that part of the event, and here we are at the tail end of this discussion, the way and the speed at which you guys tear that place down at the end of the day is absolutely impressive. So before we close it out, that's a story I want. How do you get that stuff packed up, cleaned up so quick?
So what we end up doing is about an hour before the tournament is done, we can start tearing down certain things that we set up a few days there. Once that final cannon is done, everybody moves to the leaderboard. That's when tents and tables and all that starts going down. Then I got to be honest, as soon as leaderboard is done and we give away the truck, we have a few big trailers and it just gets thrown in there. It's like throwing Tupperware and you're in that one cabinet in your house.
Yeah,
you just
that's a
toss
good
it
way
in
to put it.
quickly,
That's a
close
great
it,
way to
go
put
for
it.
I don't know. Chris
that's
has
how
got it down to a science.
Chris tries really
pretty
hard. Chris does incredible, but I do have to say, with all of us, we're tired. We're done.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it's Tupperware in the cabinet. But then what we do is we have a trailer clean out day in the summer when it's nice.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
We pull everything out and then we recategorize and do a spreadsheet and do all that. But yeah, when we leave, it ends at 3. We're off by 6.
Yep.
Yeah.
3 days to set up, 3 hours to tear down, and then the day after, actually, one of the
How long to
groups-
set up?
3 days.
No. How many months to set up?
we start
Yeah.
in March.
Yeah.
We start in March.
You guys, I never end.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and it doesn't too, because you're sending out thank yous and stuff like that after
yeah.
the contest. But right after the contest is done, we have a lot of people that were out there, and everyone does their best to clean up their area. And we can't thank everybody enough for making sure our lakes stay clean and making sure everything stays healthy for our next generation of fishermen. But we have our local Boy Scout clubs that come in and they walk up and down the entire contest site and parking lots that we use, and they clean up everything if we were to miss and the smallest little scraps. So something that they do to put their stamp on it. And like I said, 3 days to put up, 3 hours to tear down. It's a spectacle.
It was. My son's on the fishing team, so we've helped with that a couple times, but that's a process.
I need to redeem myself on the sponsor thing, because there's no way for me to actually remember.
If you want to go through the list,
real quick,
go for it.
All right, Strike Master Augers, Fleet Farm, Ice Castle, Grandview Lodge, Striker. I had all those. C&L Distributing, Mr. Heater, Aquaview, Northland Sports Center, Advantage Home Pros, Mills Automotive Group, Mike's Tree Company, Legacy Automotive, Nick's Tree Works, Roundhouse Brewery, Ragco, Magnum Research, Lakes Gas Co., Gull Lake Events, Cragen's, BIR, Lakes Printing, Waste Partners, Interstate, CTC, North Star Fireworks, and Brainerd Eye Care Center.
Good job.
There's a lot. I don't know that I could rattle them all off, and they change here and there every year. So.
Having been around this part of the business for a long time, it definitely is a chore to remember everybody when you're put on the spot. I know that it's going to be easy for everyone to see when they walk under the banner. When they get there, you guys take great care of all your people, and I kind of chuckle because I knew that was going to probably go there.
I had it ready too, and then it wouldn't load.
Well, of course, it never does when you need it to. But hey, thank you guys for coming in and doing this. This has actually been a lot of fun.
Good. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to get Todd here, and we're gonna work on the guys here, make sure that we all go, and might have to take a grill and get some dogs going or whatever you guys do out in Buffalo. I know you've actually got a very refined version of tailgating out there. We'd take your input.
Yeah, let's get you guys. We'll get together before the contest.
Only if you invite us to where you're at.
Yeah,
we can come and see whatever y'all do in Buffalo.
Yeah, I want to go to a Bills game.
Yeah, well, we're just a notch above cavemen here, so.
Oh, got it.
That is true.
That's what I deal with, on a pretty frequent basis.
Oh, camera just shut off again.
We're super excited. So.
Well, I think it's probably a good sign to wrap this up. I've had a couple minor technical pitfalls here, but you know what? It just seems to be the way these things go. So we'll close it there. February 1st is going to be the 35th annual Brainerd Jaycees Ice Fishing Extravaganza on Gull Lake out of Hole in the Day Bay. You will know where it's at. It's going to be very obvious from Todd Seisner all the way in Buffalo, the publisher himself of In-Fisherman, and Andrew, Sheena, Mike with the Jaycees here in Brainerd. Thank you for coming, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys on the ice.